Angeles Lakers were in action in the wee hours of today, and it was a comprehensive win over the Denver Nuggets, 121 rather, to 110 points that ended as Lebron James scored 28 points to guide the Lakers through to their first win of the season. You also had Anthony Davis contributing 26 points to LeBron James' effort. Russell Westbrook, who has gotten the sticks over, the last year and a half, also contributed off the bench, scoring 18 points. And I think he's now getting familiar with his role off the bench. Still talking about the Lakers, the match itself, you had reigning MVP, talking about Nikola Jokic, restricted to 23 points as the Lakers defense came through for them. Do not forget that Jamal Murray as well had 21 points, but that wasn't enough as the Nuggets suffered their third defeat of the season. They are 4-3 to the start of the season. That's 4 wins and 3 losses, while for the Los Angeles Lakers, they have a win and 5 losses to the start of the season. Away from the Lakers, let's turn our attention now to the Golden State Warriors, the defending champions. The Warriors were in action as well at the wee hours of this morning. It was a shock loss they suffered to Detroit Pistons. That was a shock, it must be said. Detroit Pistons winning by 112 to 128 rather to 114 points over the Warriors. For the Detroit Pistons, it was just their second win of the season, as they now have 2 wins and 5 losses to the start of the season, while for the Golden State Warriors, they have 3 wins and 4 losses to the start of the season. Quite inconsistent from the defending champions. You had Jordan Poole scoring 30 points for them. Steph Curry, the talisman of the franchise, had 32 points as well. Do not forget that Sadiq Bey had 28 points for the Detroit Pistons, and Cade Cunningham had 23 points alongside 10 rebounds and 9 assists for the Pistons. You had Isaiah Stewart with 24 points as well as 13 rebounds as the Pistons got just their second win of the season. Talking about the match itself, we played Germany during the group stages.
Yes,
we were in the same group. We lost by 2-1. It seemed like we were cruising, 3 goals up. The Germans came back in stunning fashion, forced the penalty shootout before losing. I mean, penalties, anyone can lose. But what do you make of the performance of our ladies, not just for yesterday, but all through the tournament?
Number one, I like to congratulate them. If truly they are under 17, as it were, I like to say that. I have to say that then they are really impressed because the naivety, the losing of control, as it were, is exactly how it should be. Given that they are that age, although it's not ideal, but it's expected. Given that age, I will congratulate them, especially because I haven't lost to a team already. It's very difficult to overcome that mental block to now defeat them. Then the next thing you find yourself 3 goals up, and then you are now playing penalties. Penalties you lost out on, in the semi-final against Colombia. And so for them to have overcome that mental block, it's really impressive. Hopefully they can, maintain these girls. Do you understand? I mean, they are under 17. They can still go to school.
Under 20
transition them under 20. They can school and play football at the same time, so that in another 5, 6, 7 years we can have new crop of players transiting to the Super Falcons. Why not? Maybe win the World Cup.
Exactly. Well, you never can rule it out, although it's a tall order.
Semi-final first.
We need to even get to quarter-final first.
Well, we've gotten to quarter-final, but we need to
on a consistent basis. Well, the Flamingos, Nigeria's under 17 women, impressed. You had several stars showing up. Esther Ajakare was one of them. You had Edith Young Husseini. You can go on and on really names, but these are ladies that have made us proud. And as Larry said, we hope that there will be continuity in terms of transition of the ladies from under 17 to under 20, keeping the very crop of these players so that they can continue their football growth and development. We'll have to say credit to Coach Olowo Okere Bankole as well for doing a good job with the ladies. Well, let's turn our attention now to European football as we switch gears, and let's start with the Premier League. Arsenal, it's a good time to be a Gunner. 5-0 over Nottingham Forest. Expectedly, because Nottingham Forest are the whipping boys. Well, whipping because they're at the bottom of the group, as it were, of the Premier League. Is it safe to say Arsenal are title contenders right about now with 12 games into the season?
Yes, I'm saying the table doesn't lie. The table is a reflection of your performance.
Exactly.
Especially when it's not just one game. it's not 2, it's now 12, which hypothetically is like 1/3 of the journey.
Almost 1/3.
Yeah, almost 1/3, you know. So you have to give them that credit. The last time they were here, you have to go way back. Although some will tell you only one team has gotten to this stage and still did not win it twice. And please don't ask me who that club is. The club actually is top of the table right now. But you just feel that, you know, this might be different.
Yep.
There's a shift in mentality. You can tell from when Arteta came late in, I think in December 2019, you know, going ahead to win the FA Cup, beating the likes of City and Liverpool on the way, and then doing well. So from there, they have grown. Last season, you know, was quite disappointing. I mean, 2 seasons ago, when they didn't even make European places. But last season, they went top,
so close,
a notch higher, you know, or just missing out on the Champions League. In fact, with 4 games to go, they were still in Champions League race. But that's still last season. But right now, they're showing that, hey, we're not just aiming to return to the Champions League for the first time in 6 years. We want to win this title, which we haven't won in 2004. And I'm wondering, where were you in 2004?
I was European champion. Or we were European champion. You know what I'm talking about. We were European champions.
Absolutely.
I mean, you remember the Shevchenko penalty?
Yeah.
Well, for Arsenal, the win came at a cost because Bukayo Saka was, you know, injured. They had to pull up early on, and it will be difficult for them considering how immense he has been this season for Arsenal Football Club. So let's see if they can weather the storm without Bukayo Saka. But they are doing well at this point in time. It will also be intriguing to see how they fare after the World Cup, because the World Cup looks like a momentum breaker at this point in time. Let's turn our attention now to Manchester United. We're in action yesterday against West Ham, and the entire story, it has to be David De Gea, who, you know, pulled off stunning saves, reminding us once again that, yes, it may not be at that lofty standards of his over the last 2 seasons, but he's still a top-notch goalkeeper, and quite surprisingly, coming, you know, on the heels of missing the World Cup. Larry, before we delve to this match quickly, Luis Enrique released, you know, 55-man list. 5 goalkeepers were there, and he didn't include David De Gea. It's a provisional World Cup list.
Yeah.
I do not agree that David De Gea is not a top 5 goalkeeper in Spain. I can't ration it. It's not just logical for me.
Well, left for me, if I were the coach, or I like coaches that just release their 23-man list.
Exactly.
Or 25. Just go for it straight, because you have more than times 2 of that list.
That you still
a number of players will be caught. I think on a psychological side, I would rather prefer not to be among the 55 than to be there and chop off at some point. Now, imagine that he has David De Gea there, you know, very mature goalkeeper at the peak of his power, or close to the peak of his power. On what basis will he have to drop him?
Exactly.
So from the onset, he knows that he won't be going with the Manchester United #1, and so he has dropped him from the beginning. I don't think he picked his 55 based on merit. He didn't come out to say that, and I don't want to assume that's what he did.
But even at that, you are going to a World Cup. When you go to a major tournament, you go with 3 goalkeepers.
Yes.
Is he trying to tell me that even David De Gea is not at least third choice for Spain? Who? Kepa Arrizabalaga?
Well, I think one thing counting against David De Gea and not counting for the manager is the characteristics of the player. Obviously, as a goalkeeper, your #1 job is shot stopping, making saves and all that. However, especially given how some teams play, they like it when a goalkeeper, you know, can pass the ball, can use the leg, can be an option. You know, when the team is under pressure, pass the ball, play with his feet and all that. And you agree with me that, you know, Spain, given how they dominated football between 2008 and 2012 and thereabouts, and they still want to play around that way, you know, that is a very fundamental part of their team. So I won't say it's a good or a bad decision. At the end of the day, the result will judge. Well,
the man responded with that performance. What do you make of it, especially Manchester United? You think they're now in for a top 4, you know, shootout?
Yes, they should be. They missed out last season quite disappointingly. They were one of the sides touted to win the league, particularly when they brought back someone like Cristiano Ronaldo, who, you know, has goals written all over him. So this time, making the top 4 shouldn't be an issue at all. They have a new manager who
even with Newcastle.
Doing. A number of players. I mean, they have to compete. They have to compete because it's never going to be placed on your table,
exactly.
on your lap, you have to fight for it. They brought in a number of good players, you know, who have forced themselves into, you know, the first team. Lisandro Martinez, you know, coming to mind, and you could see him yesterday like a Trojan. He's always been, you know, is not, is basically not leaving anything out, you know, not leaving any stone unturned, putting his body on the line. And David De Gea, of course, the man of the moment. That save he made on Antonio, especially
Declan Rice.
Yeah,
you can go on and on.
You know, reminds me of the saves he made. The save he made in 2014 on the 5th of October against Oviedo.
Yes.
You know, it was down, and you know the left back, you know, took the shot, and how he rose to save that ball. I honestly, you know, cannot even explain that. So that was exactly what he did yesterday. Unfortunately, we don't appraise goalkeepers as match winners, but what we saw yesterday was a match-winning performance. Exactly,
it was the man of the match. In fact, you have to give credit to David De Gea. Last season, it was voted as United's player of the season.
Deservedly.
In other words, the players of Manchester United voted that David De Gea is the best among them. It just tells you how fundamental he has been. How many times has he won that award, player of the players?
Like
you know,
200 times now.
4 times. You know, so it shows you how instrumental he's been for United over the last decade or so. When did he come in? 2011?
Yeah, 2011.
I mean,
skinny,
exactly,
shaky,
you know.
very confident.
Anyways, let's talk about a team that is struggling at this point. And the big question is, after 6.5 years, in fact, this is his 7th year, should he go? Jurgen Klopp, Liverpool, starting the season with, and they've started on a very terrible note, very inconsistent. In Europe, they're doing well into, you know, the knockout stages of the UEFA Champions League, but on the domestic front, it's a different story entirely, losing to Leeds United. And the big question is, should Jurgen Klopp go? Larry, quickly, what are the challenges Liverpool are facing now? We know injury was quite all right, yes. Yeah. I can't even remember if Oxlade-Chamberlain is still a player, you know.
His name.
So many players are injured. Navigator, you know, we can go on and on with the list of injuries, but beyond the injuries, something is fundamentally wrong with how the team is either structured or how the players approach matches in terms of their psychology. Something is wrong. Then you look at Jurgen Klopp as well. There's that 7th season myth with him from Mainz to Dortmund. Now we're at Liverpool and it's coming up again. Do you think it's time for a change? He's won it all at Liverpool. He's a legend in the club regardless. Is it time to let him go?
I think so, for the sake of the club. You don't sack managers because they are not good. You just sack them because it's not working at that time. And, you know, they go refresh themselves and they can do well somewhere else. There's nothing tying Liverpool to Jurgen Klopp as a life covenant. You rightly mentioned the 7-year, you know, myth, you know, which has been consistent. And we can see that, you know, quite obviously. It's been very terrible this season as far as the league is concerned. They're doing well in Champions League because they're up against Ajax and they're up against
Napoli,
Rangers, you know, and maybe Napoli. In the knockout phase, it most likely will show up. So far this season, you know, 4 losses, which is atrocious because they played the most games in Europe last season, 63, about the same number as Chelsea.
They didn't even lose up to 4.
And in all competitions, they lost 4. In all competitions, you know, lost in the final
of the Champions
League, lost against Inter Milan in the second round, then twice in the league. You know, in the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup, they won both, you know, playing the maximum number of matches, 6 apiece. So they lost 4 in 63 games in last season, and in 12 games in the league this season, they lost 4 already. So we're not just talking about winning the league, which should be their second league title in 33 years, or his first league title, or his second league title in his 7-year stint at Liverpool. We're not talking about making the top 4, and even that is in question. Newcastle are fine from all cylinders. United look reborn. Manchester City will be there and thereabouts. Arsenal are rolling back the year. So it's just not working at the moment. Maybe the psychological blow of getting to the pinnacle of football last season and then winning the list too. You know, they had a chance to win the quadruple. They missed out on the Champions League, missed out on the league, and they won the last 2 via penalties. So maybe that psychological blow of, hey, what else can we give? You know, I think all that is just coming together. And there has to be that change really fast.
Okay.